Hi. Greetings to the spirit world. I'm so glad you picked me, Abraham, because I'm at a crossroads. Your teachings resonate with me and have ever since I was a little child. I just could not put words to them, and you do. And you've liberated me in that sense. Words are not the best vehicle of communication, I understand, but it's all we have right now.
You are good with them.
I'm a writer. Thank you. So I recall you saying that the road to where we're going is very wide. There's many different ways that we can go, and because Abraham resonates so deeply with me, it's the way I've chosen amongst many others. Recently I went to Peru. Something I attracted, it fell right out of the sky into my lap, literally. I came home without a debt. It was just wonderful. My kids were taken care of, and my husband didn't divorce me. He threatened, but he didn't do it. While I was there, I ran into the teachings of Sai Baba, and there's aspects of it that are diabolically opposed to what I'm understanding with what you're telling me.
Does that make them wrong?
No, but Sai Baba has enough credential and enough import in my life that I can't see how to pick and choose what he's so against emotions and them having any meaning. He believes they're illusion. He believes that we should control the senses and the emotions, keep them totally boxed up and separate from us. And
give us more.
Okay, if you'll allow me to read just a couple of quotes that really... I've been sick, physically sick, because of this clash. I can't seem to continue. Control thoughts and emotions.
Go very slowly.
Okay. Control your thoughts and emotions. Have control over and detachment from the senses. There is a right and wrong way of behaving. Give up attachment to world possessions. Work hard, do your duty, overcome the five senses. Here's a good one. Overvaluing of emotional expression not only leads to social chaos, but absolutely curtails spiritual growth. Freedom of emotional expression must be balanced by the spiritual attitudes of giving up attachment to emotions at a certain point and of influence of the emotions. I can't make that mesh. Although Sai Baba's teachings in all other areas, they really make my heart sing.
What other areas?
Well, Sai Baba teaches about not being attached to things in this world such that you're like a wave tossed about on the sea.
Well, now play with that thought just for a moment and feel what we've been projecting here about the two concurrent journeys, where you've got this action world that you've been trying to control. But now, instead of trying to control the action world, instead you are molding the energy, sort of detached from what is, while you set your tone of what you prefer. In other words, we can see a possible resonance with the idea of detachment. It's like the word surrender. People say, well, how can surrendering in any way mesh with the idea of being the creator of my own reality? The creator of my own reality doesn't exactly sound like surrendering. But when you listen to the details of how we teach you to be the creator of your own reality, we encourage you to relax and allow the well-being that is natural to you. So you are releasing resistance and allowing, so then there is a sort of dovetailing. So sometimes what happens is, at the heart of teachings, there is a similar vibration that is expressed in words that then take you off on wild goose chases. And we agree those words relative to emotions do sound diabolically opposed. We would like to hear them one more time if you're willing to offer them.
Once again, we have this is translated, and there's a problem with that.
It is a problem. Jerry had a person who speaks only Spanish that he wanted to convey some very important things. So Jerry wrote a long letter in English and then had someone who speaks fluent Spanish translate it into Spanish. And he delivered the letter, and then a few weeks later, he met another person who was studying to be an English-Spanish translator, so he had his Spanish letter translated back into English. And when he compared the two, they were far from the same letter.
Yes.
In just that little bit of translation, with everyone having only the best of motives. There is also something else that we want to give to you, and that is the reality of what Sai Baba means or doesn't mean is not really what we're talking about here. It's your perception. In other words, the emotions you feel are about what you are perceiving to be the conflict, you see. And what we're wanting you to understand is that your work is not to pronounce Sai Baba or Abraham, one or the other, correct. Your work is to bring yourself into alignment. You've been an active student of a lot of philosophies for a long time. And we want you to understand that you could make the decision to go this way, or you could make the decision to go that way. But the worst thing in the world is to decide to go that way and think maybe you should have gone that way. Or to decide to go that way and think maybe you should have gone that way. So make a decision and then line your energy up with that decision so that there's no contradiction within you. And then you'll feel wonderful and well-being will flow to you. People say, yes, but what was the right way? And we say, there isn't only one path. It is a very wide path. It's all in what lines up for you, you see. In the beginning, as we began expressing to you, we were very heavy on the science of deliberate creation because we saw so many of you not thinking thoughts on purpose. And then we noticed that that idea made you afraid of your thoughts. And so then we began softening it a little bit because we don't want you to be afraid of your thoughts. Now we're trying to get you to be at peace with your thoughts and just gently guide them, you see. And so we are certain that Sai Baba is receiving and expressing the best words that he can find that match the intent of those who are surrounding him.
I wonder too, as you were talking, that if I possibly allowed this Sai Baba in as a, what's the word? I felt too good having what I wanted and getting what I wanted. And when I went to Peru, they didn't have anything. And I was around a lot of shaman and witches, whatever those are, and a lot of people would tell me, well, you shouldn't drink coffee, you shouldn't eat sweets, you should pinch that off in your life as control. And I don't believe that. And I was angry that what I had finally come to understand and embrace and in teaching my children was being challenged.
But can you understand how a teacher in a land, when there are very few things that people might want, who are feeling disappointment over the deprivation that they're feeling over this and this and this, can you not understand how it might be helpful to guide them to not lust or yearn so much for things that do not easily seem to be forthcoming? In other words, if you were in a desert where there was no possibility of having an ice cream cone, we would not hold a lecture on how delicious ice cream cones are. Because there's no point in torturing you, you see. And so we think a lot of the philosophies that are evolving, you have to understand they're evolving because of the life experiences that people are living. And that's why it is so interesting to us that people of your world not only go to other parts of the world that they cannot relate to and try to bring philosophies that have been developed for those people and make them work in their life in a very different culture under very different times and circumstances. Not only do you go on the other side of the world and do that, but you dig stuff up that was not even in this part of the world, on the other side of the world 2,000 years ago, and try to make it fit.
Yeah, that's
and it's
a good
rather
point.
Amusing to us when you have guidance within you in every moment that's letting you know how your thought fits. So when you think a thought, even though it might be the best thought that Sai Baba can think, given where he is and what he's living, when you think that thought in the context of your life and it makes your stomach hurt, it means your guidance is saying to you, this thought is not resonating with you. Doesn't make Sai Baba wrong. It makes his philosophy under your circumstances not exactly compatible.
What do I do with it? Do I
follow your own guidance? In other words, what does negative emotion mean? It means the thought I'm thinking is not allowing the energy to flow. And what do you think is giving you those knots in your stomach? In other words, what is the thought that you're thinking as those knots come forward? I've got two teachers that I want to believe in that aren't saying the same thing, which means one or both of them are screwy.
Yeah, I couldn't find peace. But now I see what you're saying. Going to Peru and trying to come home and fit a Peruvian custom into an American lifestyle is difficult at best, maybe even impossible.
And tell us again why you did it.
Really? I was told that I should stop drinking coffee and stop eating sweets. And I said,
decadent
why?
beast.
I know. Well, it challenged me because the group I was with, I'm sort of the rebel, and I like coffee and sweets. It sounds retarded, I know, but that's at every restaurant, everywhere. It's like, how many cups of coffee have you had? I'm like, get out of my face. Why do you care? Because you should give up the things that you love. And I didn't even dare to speak Abraham's name. I was outnumbered, and I didn't understand. And then when I came home, I got sick, and I've been sick up until almost an hour ago. I came here to get well. If you hadn't called on me, I would have tackled you in the parking lot.
At some level, we understood that. So are you telling us that there is a philosophy that exists, that you've even been listening to a little bit, that says if it feels good to you,
Don't
it
do
isn't?
it.
And if it feels like deprivation, then jump in with both feet.
Yeah. That's
And
what I'm saying.
it's no wonder that so many of you are crossways of your own guidance, because there have been so many who have needed you to perform in the way that they needed you to perform in order to satisfy the intentions that they held. And there are many who, even among those like you, worry that if everyone followed their own bliss, if everyone did exactly what felt good to them, then would not the world become chaotic, they ask? Would not people go off and do terrible things to each other? And we say, if people could make their way up the emotional scale so that they get into that range of feeling good most of the time, then there would be very little that would go on in your world that would be upsetting to you. All of the violence, even that which is offered from one government to another, is offered from a place of insecurity. And so as a people or as a person who move up the emotional scale, once you connect with your own well-being, you are not then wreaking havoc on those who surround you, because you only do that from your place of insecurity.
Right, okay.
Yes.
That's great. Thank you. Now I'll go on the road with you.